Hi everyone, I wanted to record a short educational series for my fellow game developers about different roles that are available within studios. I myself have a studio, 30 plus employees. We primarily focus on development of mobile games in hyper casual, hybrid casual, idle arcade, casual genres. So I am gonna rely on my personal experience as well as the information I know and share with you about different roles that are available. So if you're in the beginning of your career or maybe you want to switch careers, it will be very educational for you to know what is out there, and maybe you can align your skill set in order to find a job within some game development organization in the future. So stay tuned for those series. It's gonna be, a while before I finish that, but don't hesitate to ask any questions. If you feel like you want to learn more about a specific role within game development organization, reach out. We have our own Discord server. So if you want to share any of your personal experience, also don't hesitate. Thank you everyone and have a great day. So I kind of want to start with a top to bottom approach. I mean, that's not a right way to say it. All the roles are absolutely necessary within the game development studio and they're critical in order to achieve any sort of success. But I guess just from the managerial positions to positions of execution and so on, so that we have like better understanding of how you compile the lead, the group of leaders within the organization, and then how you find and how you apply certain skill sets within the groups, within different roles, so to speak. So the first job that I wanted to cover within game development organization is job of a CEO, which translates to Chief Executive Officer. I don't think there is much difference for the primary functions of this job within game development startup, game development company, or any other tech company or even non-tech company. Pretty much there are a few main things that the CEO needs to do in order to fulfill his job description, so to speak. So for number one, I would say that CEO needs to make sure that the company is earning more money than to what they're losing. So more basically money going up, losses going down. So this is number one. And, with that specific description, a lot of different approaches can be taken. And that would heavily depend on the company size, company culture, company mission, and a lot of other things. But, if the company is not making money, you're basically not doing your job as a CEO. The company needs to at least cover the burn rate, pay the salaries. They have operational expenses, software expenses, licenses, and a lot of other expenses that needs to be covered on, daily or monthly basis. And if the CEO does not find the proper strategy in order to bring in more money than what the losses are, then the company is going to go bankrupt no matter what. I mean, it's just a matter of time. So there are multiple ways of how you can make money, right? If you have certain product, maybe the job of the CEO is to find partnerships that are willing to engage and pay for those subscriptions and some other models. Maybe the job of the CEO is to negotiate contracts within bigger organizations that are gonna, pay for product development and bring in money this way. Maybe the job of the CEO is to make sure if you're selling physical products that mom and pop shops or big shops such as Walmart and other entities, they carry your product on shelves. Maybe the job is to it doesn't really matter as long as it's legal of what strategy you pick, but the strategy needs to be successful enough to at least cover basic expenses of the company. So you kind of need to juggle between expenses and between how much money the company is making, and make sure that you're okay on the balance sheet from that perspective. So this is number one. And, like, nobody's going to work for you for free pretty much ever, unless you're just a group of enthusiasts, which we used to be at GTAP. But if you want to scale your organization, and you want to treat it as a business, you need to be able to pay salaries. You need to be able to pay for a bunch of other things. So money is truly important for any business. Number two, I think what is important job of what the most important thing for the CEO is, and it's to find the right team and to identify the right mission for the team. And I think identifying the mission comes first, because when you have a mission, when you have certain drive, it is really important that people who you're bringing on board, especially for companies of smaller size, less than 5 employees, maybe 5 from 15, 5 to 20, and even 5 to 50, you as a CEO most likely are going to be involved in every hire or every contract that goes through your company. So you better bring on the right people on board, people who align with your views, people who are aligned with your strategic vision. So it's important for you to pick the right people, create the right culture, make sure that your organization is not a toxic organization, that, you try to build up the people within your organization. People are going to make mistakes. How are you going to handle those mistakes? Not as a CEO directly, but as a company in general. What is your kind of a requirement? If somebody is stating a hypothesis and they want to check something out, and that it's going to take them 3 weeks to develop this product and test this hypothesis, what is your approach as a CEO to those kind of scenarios? So you need to be very diligent from that point of view, and you absolutely need to interview a bunch of people, get bunch of different perspectives on things, kind of understand what works for your teams and your company and your culture the best, and, hire accordingly. So number two, and no business was ever made without people. It is absolutely essential part to hire the team that you yourself want to work with. People that not only you can motivate, but can motivate you. And, when you get to certain size of the company, from experience, I've been working with companies 100 plus people, 1,000 plus people, and then our company is around 30 people. You want to be in the organization that inspires you, and you kind of feed off each other energy, so to speak. So not only when you're interviewing someone, it's not only about just their technical expertise or their previous experiences. It's also about, is there a vibe between you, your company culture, and this specific candidate? Can you guys work together on daily basis? Can you have meetings that are 5-hour meetings, let's say, where you need to address something or deal with a fire within the organization, anything? So the primary job from this perspective is going to be hire right people as a CEO. Obviously, once you grow to a certain size of the company, Microsoft and then some other giants FANG companies, you're not going to interview most of the candidates as a CEO. But at that point, your job is to make sure that every hire is still aligned to the company mission and company culture. So you need to set those two things right from the get-go and make sure that people who are hiring, they understand what the DNA of the company is, what the culture is, and they can hire and they can make those decisions to hire right candidates for a job. Number three, decisions. So in my point of view, and the bigger your organization is, the more you can be focused on just a quality decision making, right? So as a CEO, you need to delegate a lot of things and kind of like step away from a lot of things. And I used to be a developer. Sometimes it's hard for me not to just like check some products from just like the technical perspective and kind of like get involved into those discussions. But I do find myself spending less and less time on those things and trying to really focus my mind and kind of like shift my brain to making as high of a quality of a decision as possible. And the amount of those decisions is not huge. So I'll give you an example. It is the potential partnership for our studio and signing the contract with a potential partner gonna give us a lot of benefits in the long run or not? Is the contract properly placed and can be properly executed on our side? How are we doing just from the volume of delivering products perspective? How are we doing from the quality standard in general? So like a lot of big decisions, but not a lot of them on daily basis, right? So you just pick few things that are kind of pressing and you involve yourself in those things, and you try to dedicate a lot of your like brain function onto solving big problems. And it kind of goes to point one: are your decisions aligning with company growth? So if you're making certain decisions, can you grow the organization and grow the company by making those high quality decisions? So like really important to align point A and point B from this perspective. Right, and probably like for number 4, if I can like think a little bit, I would probably say that one of the most important functions of the CEO is, especially for like small to mid-scale company, is also like a long-term strategy. Like, what is the strategy for the company? Let me just write it down. Strategy. So as the organization, how are you planning to grow? How are you planning to make more money? How is your product, or products a right market fit? What is your strategy for rolling those products out? All of those questions from the strategic standpoint, small to mid-scale companies, needs to be addressed in my point of view, right? So you are like heavily involved within the organization. Actually, like 30 people, I talk to everybody at least once a month for 30 to 60 minutes. And I make sure that every employee, they basically understand the strategy and they understand like, where are we going as a company? What is our strategic vision? Like, what are we trying to do? What are our main priorities? What are our top goals? And like, in my point of view, if within the organization you hear that people are working on stuff that does not align with the strategic, approach, you are not sharing your strategy clearly with the team. Like, everybody needs to be working towards the same goal. So like, if your goal is to come up with a game that can get scaled to like 10 plus million downloads, and you are, you see that people are working on integrating games that already like failed certain tests to like other platforms, that's not a time well spent for the organization. Yeah, maybe like you will make some money along the way within like those platforms, but you are missing out on the opportunity of making this like one gigantic project and making a lot of money from it. So it's like always a trade, right? People are only working like 8 hours a day or even less. It's always a trade. How are you going to dedicate your time and your time resources to the company? Oh, and you as a CEO, you need to make sure that people are working and they're kind of like, you can rally the troops together to work towards the same goal and like same idea. Super important. That would be like my top four things that CEO is responsible for. And let me know in the comment section, what do you think? If you think that job of a CEO is something different, and how CEOs perform in your organizations and what their main functions are. I'm really curious to see, but I think like for me, those are the top things that CEO needs to be concerned about and needs to like really, really think through on daily basis. So don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't hesitate to ask any questions. You can join our Discord community as well. If you are in game development or you're just a player that loves to play games at the moment, hop in on board. We're excited to see each and every one of you. Thank you for your time and take care, everyone.